picked the 2024 Falcons schedule. Dubs Anderson, aka co-host, joining. Let's go week by week. Starting week 1 versus Pittsburgh. It's at home, but it's never an easy team to go up against Mike Tomlin.
They're a tough out. I think this is probably going to be the biggest disaster coming in for a new year. Mike Tomlin, he didn't ask for this mess that he finds himself in that quarterback room. Straight out the gates, it's a win for the Falcons. Flying start.
I mean, he kind of did ask for it, don't you think?
Sort of, yeah, I guess.
At least it's a cheap ask. He can get out of it quickly. All right, so you're going loss. What about wait? Is that a loss or a win? Did you say?
That's a win straight up.
Okay, all right, Falcons get the win. Week 2. This is Monday Night Football at Philly. What do you think of the Eagles?
This is a big spot. Look, I think the Eagles, they're going to take another backward step. There's a lot of question marks. Sirianni under a lot of pressure, but I do think they've probably got enough juice to get the win here in week 2. So I think it's a split. Falcons drop this one. They win week 1.
All right, we're sitting at 1-1. Week 3 doesn't get much easier. You got to take on the Chiefs. Another primetime game, Sunday Night Football. How do you see this one going?
This could be a little look-ahead spot for the Kansas City Chiefs. I do see the Falcons dropping this one. They'll be very competitive for the Chiefs. I think similar to what we saw last year, they will struggle through the regular season, find a way in the playoffs, and then who knows, anything is possible. I like the Falcons, but I've still got a one from the first 3.
Yeah, you can't give them a win against the Chiefs. How about the Saints? Now, these games are always electric. Falcons, Saints, they do not get along, but week 4 at home against the Saints, are you giving them a win?
I think, look, if the Panthers are the worst team in the league division, I think the Saints, they're not going to be far behind. Derek Carr, I've got absolutely no raps on. They've got to revamp the whole thing, the whole offense. And I tell you what, that's a head coach, Allen, who could be under a lot of pressure come week 6, week 7. So this is where the Falcons find their stride. Let's go 2 for 4. They absolutely boat race the Saints.
At home, I guess I could see it at home. What about Tampa? I mean, just to play that many. Here. Let me just say hot take real quickly. Everyone wants to talk about the Falcons having the easiest division. Tell me how this is easy. Having Chiefs in week 3, and you've got 3 divisional games back to back to back. I don't buy into the strength of schedule. What do you make about week 5 against Tampa at home?
Look, I'm probably number 1 of the Baker Mayfield fan club, but Kirk Cousins, he set the tone for quiet dogs there in the clubhouse. I think the Falcons get it done. Baker Mayfield, apparently he's looking fantastic in the offseason, but he's got the bag. Last year, him and his boy, Big Mike Evans, they were out there trying to prove a couple of things. I don't think they have that extra motivation this year. So I think for the Bucks, maybe they just flatten out a little. The Falcons, they'll be primed up for this spot. The Falcons are so young. You want to back them early in the season. They're going to be playing with house money. This is a great spot for them.
How about week 6 at Carolina, 3rd divisional game in a row? What if this is like trap game? No.
Sorry, Carolina Panthers. I tell you what, the last team to go winless in the NFL, I believe it could have been the Browns back in 2017. Give me a market on that. I hate to be that guy. Bryce Young, I've probably got a better chance at getting the Panthers across the finish line. Not buying in, haven't seen anything. I think it's going to be a long season in Carolina. The Falcons, good spot. I mean, you talk about weapons. Who do the Panthers have? I mean, this is going to be one of the sorriest looking rosters we've seen over the last couple of years. And you expect my guy to go out there and figure things out? Nah, sorry, ain't it for the Panthers.
If Deontay Johnson's your only hope at having the franchise take a step forward, we got to reevaluate some stuff. Okay, so you got the Falcons doing pretty well. You got them 3 wins in a row, 3 divisional wins in a row. Week 7 versus Seahawks. How do you make this one?
Look, Gito, he's out there. He's trying to play for the bag. I like the Seahawks. I think they've got a couple of pieces, but I don't think they're going to be at the same level with the Falcons at this point. Coming off a couple of wins, I think this is where they sort of make their cheese through that middle portion of the campaign. I mean, look at Drake London. He could still have that upside of being one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Now, I know you think that's a bit of a hot take, but I'll say this. Justin Jefferson would never be JJ without Kirk Cousins. He absolutely made him as a wide receiver, and we'll see the same again this year. Drake London, top 5 wide receivers in the game. Mark my words.
That's going to be the wildest take I've ever heard. You cannot say Kirk Cousins made Justin Jefferson.
He did. The wide receiver is only as good as the quarterback throwing it to him, and that was Mr. Swaggy himself, Kirk Cousins. We wouldn't even know about JJ at this point. And look at his numbers this year. Poor old Justin Jefferson. He's saying, Kirk Cousins, please come back. I missed you.
We're not even going to talk about Justin Jefferson with Josh Dobbs, with every other like runaway quarterback he had last season. All right, so you're giving the Falcons the win against Seahawks. You said,
Yeah, yeah.
so week 8, follow it up at Tampa. You gave the Falcons the win at home. On the road, are we splitting with the Bucks?
This could be a tough one. I think we drop this one. Baker Mayfield and the boys, they try and turn things around. They'll be a tough out in division. So, okay, I'll play devil's advocate. Bucks get the win at home.
All right, week 9 versus the Cowboys. Now it's in Atlanta, but the Cowboys are always a tough team to beat.
Regular season, Dak Prescott, he's going to be right there in the MVP conversation. I'll give this one to the Dallas Cowboys. There's levels to this thing. I think the Cowboys probably a season ahead of where the Falcons need to be.
All right, so 2 losses in a row. Another divisional game coming up week 10 at the Saints. Tell me you're giving the Saints in the Superdome the win.
Look, that stadium needs electricity. That offense needs electricity. It's a pass. Again, I think the Falcons go into their building. They steal a couple of Hurricanes, take the points, and get out of Dodge.
Come on. Are we going to see a lights out Super Bowl again?
You don't like that. You do not like these
like
takes.
that.
You do not like these takes against the Saints.
All right. Week 10 was the Saints. Week 11 at Denver. How are they doing against the Broncos?
This is a tough one. If there's a team that I also like as much as the Falcons going through the offseason, sneaky, going to be a tough out, it's the Broncos. Look, I'm willing to say in Denver, I think at this point of the year, their offense is going to be full stride as well. I think the Broncos get in a bit of an arm wrestle. This was a tough one I had in the balance. I'll lean towards Denver in Denver. I don't like to say that.
And the altitude as well. I mean, that's why.
It's tough.
It's tough. It's tough to play in. All right, bye week, week 12. I think week 12 is the perfect bye week spot. I say that all the time. It's like, it's later. It's a later bye, but it's not too late. It's kind of when those injuries start piling up. So if they're coming off a loss in week 11 to the Broncos, they get to rest. Week 13, followed it up at home versus the Chargers.
Easy beats. I mean, the poor old Chargers buying in on the Jim Harbaugh effect, but not this year. We're playing the long game, 2, maybe 3 years away from what they're fully going to look like. Justin Herbert, I don't think he'll be there at this point of the year. He's already gone into this one with a couple of question marks. So give me the Falcons. This is the get right spot to make that chance to the playoffs.
This will be a good one because I could see the Falcons being like underdogs in this game.
Yeah.
So maybe you could get plus money. Okay. Week 14, a little revenge spot for Kirk Cousins at Minnesota. He's going to be going up probably against Sam Darnold. Who's getting the win?
Don't overthink it. Kirk is not the guy. I keep saying it, MP. You're not listening to me. This is a dog of all dogs. You think he's going to go in there with a chip on his shoulder? Absolutely. And the poor old Vikings, I mean, what are they going to be dishing up at the helm there? Absolutely. Kirk Cousins and the young boys around him, they will do whatever it takes to get the points in this one.
Week 15 at Raiders. For some reason, why did they make this one a Monday night game? It's like a bad game.
I don't know. Commissioner probably wants to play the tables or something. I've got no idea. This is another win for me. This will be a nice little momentum builder for the Falcons at the back end of the season. Not big on the Raiders. Devontae Adams, he probably won't even be there at this point of the year. Gardner Minshew, he'll probably be in the caravan packed up front of the stadium. It'll be Aiden O'Connell at this point. So disaster in Sin City awaits.
I mean, if the Falcons are going to be as good as you're expecting them to be, Devontae Adams should be pitching a trade to the Atlanta Falcons instead. You know he wants out of Raiders anywhere. Okay, so this is where, I think the hardest part of the Falcons schedule is early on. Now, if you can get through the bye week with a decent amount of wins, you're giving them a win against the Chargers, Minnesota, Vegas. So 3 wins in a row. Week 16 versus the Giants. Ugh. I have to sell my stock on the Giants already. Like, come on, Danny Dimes.
How did we get it so wrong? I was also optimistic on Daniel Jones and that big return, but he's probably been the biggest flop of the preseason coming in. So I think it's going to be another year for New York in search of it. I really do think, I think, we can get into it. The Falcons rattle off back-to-back wins coming in to the end of the year here. These could be the 3 biggest cupcakes at the end of anyone's schedule. So no, not big on the Giants at all. And I think this is the Falcons. This is when the wheels on the bus are starting to move at a higher rate. The offense is finally clicking. Drake London, he looks like he's going to be the top receiver for the regular season. Kyle Pitts is winning everyone their fantasy leagues. The big fella's finally got that upside. Bijan Robinson, he is setting the table with that run game. This could be a 30-point margin.
And who knows? It could be Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito at this point. It's probably not going to be Daniel Jones if he looks like he has in preseason. Week 17, another NFC East game at Washington. Jaden Daniels looks really good. Does he win?
He looks really good in the preseason. It is a long first year in the National Football League. No, Commanders are still the Commanders. Sorry, they're not going to mix it with the Falcons here. Being the penultimate round of the regular season, no. Don't overthink it. Do not be fooled by this preseason smoke. That goes for Caleb Williams as well, MP. Come on, we're better than this.
But okay, just hear me out. Chargers, Vikings, Raiders, Giants. You're giving the Falcons 5 wins in a row, and week 18 is against the Panthers. Is that a win also?
Maybe the Panthers finally figure things out. Maybe they're playing in front of friends and family saying, hey, let's send them off in the offseason. Before we go down to Cabo with a nice big old win, it ain't going to happen against the Falcons. I'm sorry. The Falcons, MP, are only going to get better. They've got a very favorable schedule. And for the young guys, they start to build off that momentum as well. I think they're an absolute freight train. I think they find some success early. And at this point of the year, wow, that's the run that you want going into the playoffs. Kirk Cousins, don't touch him going against. He won't be playing. They'll be putting all the backups there trying to rest him.
So are you giving the Panthers the win then here?
No, definitely not.
So you're
Panthers.
giving the Falcons backups to win against Carolina? 6
Absolutely.
wins in a row for the Falcons. Undefeated after the bye week. I've heard the expectations for Atlanta. I'm not even going against some of the hype for the Dirty Birds. I will say the Dirty Birds. But I cannot endorse in the slightest 6 wins in a row for the Falcons, blowing past the win total. I've got them at a 7 wins.
I'll tell you what, MP, you win that many going into the playoffs, what can happen? We know what can happen. You do not want to mess with that momentum coming into a big spot. I'm telling you, sky's the limit. Captain Australia over here. I'm not attached to the Falcons. You wanted to talk win totals. This is one of my favorites coming in to a new season. We're at double digits. Don't care. We're going over 9.5. The Falcons, real deal. Kirk Cousins, he ain't going to miss a beat. A little different to another aging quarterback coming over from one of them New York teams, if you know what I'm saying. I'm absolutely buying in on Kirk Cousins and the weapons that they've put around him to thrive.
The Falcons, 28-3 is the only thing I think about when I think about Atlanta. So enjoy your regular season, but we know how it is when you get to the postseason.
I knew you were salty.